I made a video recently about geocentrism in response to a video by this Texan chap called Lone Star 1776, who was arguing for the kind of extreme version of biblical literalism, to my mind at least, in which he picks passages from the Bible which seem to suggest the earth is stationary and central, and then finds lots of supposed support for that. It's very weak, but I try to take it seriously, and I'm continuing to try to take it seriously in the sense of the phenomenology of my experience seems to support that. Okay, I look around, I am at the centre. I used to live in Cheshire, which is very flat, and there's lots of fields, and I could stand in the centre and look around like this. Now it's just see a disc of earth around me. It's fascinating, and really try to occupy that. And you can do a lot with that thought. Most of our lives are spent as if the earth was unmoving and you were at the centre of the universe. And for the most part it works, in the same way that assuming the earth is flat works for the most part. When you design the foundations of a house, you don't take into account the earth's curvature. When you put a floor plan down in your own, lay a carpet, you don't take into account the earth's curvature. You treat the earth as if it's flat. So 99% of the time it works absolutely fine to assume the earth is flat. And I think the same is true for geocentrism. 99% of the time it works absolutely fine to assume the earth is stationary and that everything moves around it. It's only when you want to answer the kinds of questions that you need to go into different kind of mathematics. And to say one is more real than the other is really just a discussion about what level of description you're working at. But I'm just imagining, what do you do if you're a geocentrist, if you're Lone Star 1776 or some of the other people he referred to, you are committed to the Earth being stationary at the centre of the universe, and that's your stated position. Maybe it's supported by biblical literalism, or maybe you've arrived at that by some kind of rudimentary scientific observations. And then you meet a Martian. You meet somebody from Mars. The flying saucer touches down in this field over here. Little green guy comes up and starts talking to you. For some reason he's speaking English because he's been watching all the TV shows and he's learnt English from the Open University or something. Anyway, he's speaking to you, and he says, well, no, you're not at the centre of the universe. No, we in Mars are at the centre of the universe. We're stationary. You guys are moving around us. And he's got all this mathematics to demonstrate that. And it's got epicycles in it, and it's got explanations about how the distant stars would move faster than the speed of light. All this kind of stuff. And his viewpoint is completely correct from his viewpoint. In fact, he might even put you in his spaceship, mightn't he, and take you off to Mars and put an oxygen mask on you and stand you in the middle of the Martian landscape and say, look around, look. Is it moving? And you'd have to say no. You'd have to say no, it's just like being on Earth, just a bit redder and hotter. But it's exactly the same, it's stationary. And then you and the Martian would have to sit down together, wouldn't you? And you have to think, well, this is a bit weird. It was stationary back on Earth and central, and it's stationary here and central. How is that going to work out? Something about Pascal comes in here. Blaise Pascal, anyway, he said something like the universe is a sphere, the periphery of which is nowhere and the centre of which is everywhere. Maybe one of these guys, maybe you or the Martian, would remember this line from Pascal, that the universe is a sphere, the centre of which is everywhere. So this is stationary and centre, and being on Mars is also stationary and central, and being everywhere is stationary and central. How can we work out that? How can we work out these differences between us? Do we do the, well, if you're not with me, you're against me thing? Is that what I do? Do I launch a ball of nuclear missiles at Mars in order to wipe out that viewpoint so it can't be central because it doesn't exist anymore? Do the Martians send their point their ray guns at me in order to wipe me out so I can no longer make these claims to be stationary and central? Or do we get together and say, well, there must be a higher order of explanation here. We must be able to find a way of describing this situation in which allows us both to have this experience, and the real experience of being stationary and central, a real experience that allows us to do things on the ground using
the maths and physics that assumes that we are stationary and central, and live our lives that allows us to be stationary and central. But we have this other order of explanation which allows us to combine those into a higher order of understanding, a mathematics of difference, a mathematics of decenteredness, a view from somewhere else, a different kind of centre that lies outside of the space and time that you and I, Mr. Martian, inhabit. And so we don't have to fight, you know, we can put our ray guns and our nuclear weapons away. Is that what we'd say? Oh, would. Lone Star 1776. Take out the Martians. I don't know. I hope for the former, but I fear the latter.